Now, when working with nullable objects, we often have to do null checks. For example, let's define a type alias called customer and give it a birthday property of type date. Now let's define a function for getting a customer from a database. So we give it an ID, which is a number, and we get either a customer or null in case there is no customer with the given ID. Now in this function, let's write some basic logic like return if ID equals 0, then we return null, otherwise we return a customer object with this birthday. Pretty simple. Now let's declare a variable, and here we call getCustomer and pass 0. Now let's imagine we want to print the customer's birthday. So console.log, and here we pass customer.birthday. Now here we have a compilation error because customer might possibly be null. So as you know, one way to solve this problem is like this. We check if customer is not null, then we execute this piece of code. Now let's take this to the next level and assume that under certain circumstances, this function might return undefined. So we add undefined here. And now we have to expand this if statement and check for undefined. So if customer is not null and it's not undefined either, then we print the customer's birthday. That works, but there is a simpler way to write this code in Typescript. We can remove this if statement and use what we call the optional property access operator. So because customer might be null or undefined, right after it we add a question mark and then we add the chaining or the dot operator. So this question mark followed by the chaining operator is called the optional property access operator. So now this piece of code gets executed only if we have a customer that is not null or undefined. Let's see this in action. So we're passing 0 and we get a null object. So if we execute this code, we get undefined. So the result of this expression is undefined. But if we pass 1, we get an actual customer object. So we'll see the customer's birthday on the console. There you go. Okay. So this is optional property access operator. Now we can take this to the next level. Let's make the birthday property optional. Now let's say we want to print the full year of the birth year. So over here, we have to call dot get full year. Now, once again, we have the same compilation error because the birthday property might possibly be undefined. Once again, to solve this problem, we can use the optional property access operator. So now this piece of code gets executed only if we have a customer and that customer has a birthday. Otherwise, the result of this expression is undefined. Okay? Now we also have what we call optional element access operator. And this is useful when we are dealing with arrays. So we might have an array of customers and we want to print the first customer on the console. Now, if this array is going to be null or undefined, of course, we have to check if customers is not null and it's not undefined, then we're going to access the first element. Now, this is where we can use the optional element access operator. So before accessing this element, we use a question mark and a dot. Okay? Now we also have the optional call operator, which has the exact same syntax. So let's imagine we have a variable called log, which is going to reference a function. So for simplicity, I'm going to annotate this with any, and this might be set to a function, like a function that takes a message and prints that message on the console, or we might set this to null, right? Now, let's say we want to call this and pass some value. If we run this program, our program is going to crash because log is null. So this is where we can use the optional call operator. So this piece of code will get executed only if log is referencing an actual function. Otherwise, we'll get undefined.